So if you are 35 or older, I can almost guarantee that you have heard the term geriatric pregnancy. Whoever came up with this term should be sentenced to a month of watching nothing but infomercials. I mean, really, like, I can't think of a worse term to describe women that they now call like of advanced maternal age, which isn't much better. My question is, why do we have to slap any label on women that are pregnant at a certain age? Because from my experience, genetics, a woman's lifestyle has much more to do with how her pregnancy plays out than how many years she's been on the earth. And sure, science has shown that as a woman ages and as a man ages too, fertility typically declines. So egg quality can go down. It's typically harder to become pregnant. But once she's pregnant, she's pregnant. And what I'm going to get to in a minute is that all of these different studies have shown that women of an advanced maternal age don't actually have much higher of a chance of having different complications that some care providers are like so nervous that they're going to get. And I feel like it's unfair that some, definitely not all, care providers treat a woman like she is this like dusty china doll if she's 35 or older, and she's considered high risk, which is so crazy. Even if she has no special circumstances, even if she's completely healthy, no issues, simply the fact that she's 35 or older makes her high risk. And so of course, so many women that I've worked with, most of my clients are 35 or older, come in with so much anxiety because they have these medical specialists telling them that you're high risk, we need to do all these tests, you should be kind of worried. So of course they feel really anxious and they immediately feel really old when they shouldn't be made to feel that way. So getting to those studies I was talking about. Okay, so there was a study published in Scientific Reports that found that women over the age of 34, they only had a slightly increased risk for gestational diabetes and hypertensive disorders than younger women. They also found no increased risk for hemorrhage, preterm birth, low APGAR scores, or NICU admission for the baby after birth. And then according to a study published in the Journal of Human Reproduction, women aged 18 to 34 had a 0.47 chance of stillbirth, while women 35 to 40 had a 0.61% chance. That's not a big difference. So again, when you really look at a lot of the science, you're simply being 35 or older does not automatically mean you have this super intense, scary, high-risk pregnancy. If you are a healthy woman with a low likelihood that genetics could cause different issues, you have a good care provider, you're receiving prenatal care, you have a pretty good chance of having a healthy pregnancy. And I've worked with plenty of women in their 20s that had all sorts of special circumstances that made their pregnancy really high risk. For example, I worked with a woman, let's see, she was 37 when I worked with her. She had her first baby at 28, and she was a self-proclaimed fast food junkie in her 20s. She said that she saw like healthy eating as getting strawberries on a funnel cake. She said, I was not healthy. I was overweight. I felt horrible. I felt like really fuzzy during the pregnancy. And she ended up having a C-section. Fast forward to when she's 37, to when now everybody's like, oh, you're geriatric pregnancy, you're high risk. But she was incredibly healthy. She had turned her lifestyle around, ate like whole, fresh, organic foods. She exercised, drank tons of water. All of the health issues that she had had in her 20s were gone. And she found a care provider willing to support a VBAC, a vaginal birth after cesarean. And she had an amazing, fairly fast vaginal birth. Totally healthy, no issues whatsoever. So for her, it was almost completely her lifestyle that impacted how her pregnancy and birth played out than simply her age. So, okay, so what do we do? What do you do if you're considered a geriatric pregnancy? How can you work through that? How can you remove a lot of the anxiety that very naturally comes with having that label placed on you? So first and foremost, we want to find a care provider that doesn't make you feel like there's cobwebs in your uterus. So to do that, I would first ask friends and family members, especially those that had a baby 35 or older, ask them for referrals for care providers that they really connected with, that didn't make them feel like that dusty china doll. And then interview different care providers until you find one that will treat you like a customized human being, not just somebody that's lumped into the geriatric pregnancy club, somebody that will look at your family medical history, will look at your lifestyle, potentially, maybe you want to do genetic tests, we'll look at the results of that, and develop a customized plan based on you as a customized person, not just somebody that, again, is immediately labeled as high risk because of your age. So really put in the time and energy to find an amazing care provider that does not make you feel like you're having a geriatric pregnancy. Okay, ask for a reframe. So even if you find this amazing care provider, you might still have somebody on their staff, or maybe even the care provider slips up and mentions something about geriatric pregnancy or advanced maternal age. If you hear that term and it just makes you feel or anxious, go ahead and let them know. Say, I know you're not trying to offend, but that specific term, and tell them what it makes you feel. It's like, it just makes me feel anxious or old or whatever it is. So I'd really appreciate it if you try not to use that term. Totally reasonable to make that request. Again, remember that you are a one-of-a-kind, customized woman. Age is just a number. Let's embrace that cliche right now, because it is so true in so many ways, but especially in this regard. Age is just a number. Work your healthy eating and exercise plan. Again, the more you get in good, solid exercise that is given the okay by your care provider, you eat wholesome food, you take your prenatal vitamins, get in those omega-3s, drink lots of water, you're doing 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you're doing great. You're doing everything you can to give your body and your baby a really amazing pregnancy. And then finally, be curious. Be so curious about all of the recommended tests, because when you're 35 or older, there's suddenly all these tests that different organizations recommend that you have. If you feel great about them, if you're like, yeah, actually, I would love to have these tests, I want as much information as possible, then by all means, go for it. But if you're like, do I really need all these tests? Then I recommend asking your care provider lots of questions, being super curious and not making any decisions until you feel confident that you have really, really solid information. Of course, you can also get a second opinion. You can do your own research. If you are going to do your own research, I recommend mainly sticking to peer-reviewed studies. Of course, we can find all sorts of stuff online, but those peer review studies are typically the most reliable. But then again, if you found a care provider that you trust that doesn't make you feel old, then hopefully they're going to give you good, solid information and guidance. But again, know that you have a right to question the tests that are being recommended and to choose what feels best for you. All right, if you have any questions about any of this, or just want to rage about the term geriatric pregnancy, by all means, let me know in the comments below.